Hello everyone and welcome to Aviation Physics 1. This is audio-visual lecture number 1. This is assigned for week 1 along with the other assignments that are shown in the course syllabus. Today is just going over the syllabus and outlining a few course expectations, answering a few questions that have already come up. The first thing is just kind of a public service announcement about the media format for this lecture. It's just an audio track. And there's a couple of technical difficulties with that technology, so I apologize for the screen resolution. It may cut in and out with some light, but all that's going to be in this lecture is an audio track, so if you only listen to it, you're not missing anything if you don't look at the screen. So the objectives of the course have been laid out pretty well by now, so we're going to skip over that. The media, of course, just to outline that again, is going to be comprised of an audio-visual format, of which this lecture is one. It's going to be either a video or an audio track. It might be an assigned video, so it might not be me teaching the class in person. It may be a couple of assigned videos, depending on the goal of the individual lesson. That's going to be the audio-visual portion. The other portion are assigned readings that are going to either be out of a text that you should have by now, which is the FAA publication, the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, and that will be supplemented by reading excerpts that come from other texts that will be supplied and given to you probably by email. That's probably going to be the easiest way to do it. So audio-visual, reading assignments, and then exams and quizzes that will be sent electronically either to the proctor in the case of the exams or to you directly in the case of the quizzes. The structure of the course is kind of it's really up to you. It's broken down into weekly assignments. So if you look in the weekly schedule of events, the things that are assigned for a given week are what needs to be completed in that week. The week begins every Monday morning and ends by close of business, which is usually 5 p.m. on Sunday evenings. So you have any time from Monday morning to Sunday evening to get those items completed. So it's really entirely up to you. You can save it all until Sunday afternoon, which I don't recommend doing. But the point is you can fit it around your schedule during the week. There will be no assigned times or webinars or things that you have to be in a specific place at a specific time. Anything that is will either be extra credit or something that's not built into the regular part of the course. So the structure is really at your pace and according to the needs of, however you want to structure it to get it done. Just a couple of notes on that in the structure portion of the syllabus. We're kind of following the syllabus throughout this lecture just to keep everything in order. And while we're still on that structure section, just a quick note about the quizzes. So these are generally going to be about once a week, and they'll be made available directly to you no later than Thursday morning by 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and they will cover the material of the week that they are assigned. So that's the reason they're not made available until Thursday. The premise is that it would be pointless to assign it Monday morning because you haven't even seen the material, Monday morning. So, but at the same time, I don't want to tie you down to having to complete the quiz on a specific day. So you have 3 days to look at the material and 4 days to take the quiz. So I think that should be reasonable as far as making the quiz available. So I will email it to you in PDF format. And once you receive it on Thursday morning, you can take it anytime from Thursday morning until close of business Sunday, as long as it's in my email inbox by close of business Sunday evening. So what you'll do, the easiest thing will probably be for you to print it out and take the quiz. The quizzes are open book. You can use any class resources to take the quiz, and then attach it to an email and email it back to me. Be sure to make it clear in the subject line, just because that way I'll know that it's an assignment from you, and that way it won't get lost. So those are the quizzes. The exams, these are timed exams. They're closed book, proctored. So these I'm going to actually make available to the proctors, and without listing them all because they're different for each of you, you should be in contact with your proctor to set up an exam time. For exam weeks, the exam will be available to the proctor the entire week. So you can take the exam as early as Monday morning at 9 a.m. As long as you can get that time with the proctor, but the exam will be made available to them for the entire week. Generally on exam weeks, nothing else is assigned, so that's all you have to worry about that week. Grading is pretty standard. It's a letter grade that's taken that's calculated by a percentage of points. So each assignment will have a total possible point value. So let's say an exam is worth 100 points. If you portions of the exam will be worth components of that all total up to be 100 points, let's say. And if you get a 90% on that exam, that means you've gotten 90 points out of a possible 100. So over the course of the semester, I'm going to total up the total possible points that you could get and the total possible points and the total points that you have gotten, and take the percentage of that. That's going to give me a percentage number, which will give you a letter grade, and that's all spelled out in the syllabus. Within each letter grade bracket of 10% of 10 points, we have plus, minus, and plain grades. Those are also spelled out in the syllabus, just to give it a little extra, a little credit for you if you've done really well. If you have a really strong A or B or C, it's just to kind of distinguish you a little bit from just barely making an A and really making an A. So anyway, it's a school policy. I'm trying to glorify it, but it's not really working for me. So just read through that in the grading section if you're interested. The course tips, hopefully you've read the syllabus by now in its entirety, but if you read nothing else, take a look at these course tips, because these are things I've gathered from years of teaching this, and these are things that are really going to make the process easier for both of us. The disclaimer, like I said, the syllabus is probably going to change a little bit. Most of it's going to still be the same, but it's just impossible, nearly impossible, to do everything according to this schedule. And at best, we can make it better by changing it a little bit. So better for you, for learning, for your grade, etc. So don't get too attached to it, because some of it may change. If it does, every effort will be made to make that change in such a way that it doesn't make the situation any harder for you. If, for instance, we have to move an exam, I'm probably going to move it later rather than earlier, because that gives us more time to study the material. Unless we come to a collective decision that we've covered everything we could possibly cover for that exam, why wait? Let's just have it early. That'll give us more time for the next exam. So we're not gonna change things up and catch you by surprise or anything. We're gonna do the things that make the most sense. The email, obviously, that's the primary mode of communication. You should have received a couple of emails by now. Just make sure that the channels are open there. That kind of lead into communication. That's the best possible thing that you can do, especially because this is a distance course and we're never going to actually see each other in the classroom. There's no one-on-one interaction other than just emailed questions and so forth. I'm pretty hard to get a hold of on the phone, so email is going to be best. Even the school can't find me sometimes, so if you do have a question, email. I'm pretty quick with that. But the point is, do communicate. If you have a situation that is going to impact your ability to keep up in this course, or it impacts your ability to take an exam, or something comes up that you don't understand and you haven't been able to get a question answered about course material, whatever, you've had a death in the family and you have to travel out of the country to a place where you can't get internet or anything. I'm exaggerating a little here, but the point is, talk to me whatever it is, and we'll see if we can get it figured out. I can't promise that I can resolve every situation, but at least get it out there, and we'll do as much as we possibly can to help you out. The lectures are the primary teaching method of the course, insofar as you can read the book and do the extra reading, go to the airport and watch airplanes. For this course, the main things you're learning are the things taught in the lectures, just because it's more dynamic and it's more tailored to the goals of the course. So I do highly recommend that you watch the lectures. The same kind of goes for the reading. Now, with the reading, I know that a lot of you, most of you, probably know your learning style pretty well by now, and you know by now how much you need to read to get the grade that you want. And I get that. So I'm not going to be offended if you do anything less than every single page of reading. That being said, I don't recommend that you do none of the reading, because between the lectures and the reading, that's the source for the quizzes and exams. That's where the stuff on the quizzes and exams is coming from. So if you watch the lectures and do the reading, you should be just fine. And of course, asking questions about anything that doesn't make sense. A lot of you have asked about extra credit. I do believe in extra credit, but I don't build it into the syllabus, because that makes it no longer extra credit. So, budget your energies to get the grade that you want based on the credit available. And if you get extra credit, that's just a little added bonus. Maybe it's something to bump you from a B+ to an A-, or bump you from a B+ to a B- to a plain B. So it's just one of those little extra things that's nice to have, but don't budget anything on it. The projects, now there will probably be at least one, possibly two projects, and there's some kind of roughed-in dates in the syllabus for when these are going to be introduced and when they'll be due. Don't stress over these too much, because the fact that they're not described in any detail at all means that they change from semester to semester. It just depends on what's available, the ideas that come up. What I would be very encouraged by is, and what I encourage each of you to do, is after the first couple weeks, we'll talk more about the projects later when it's actually introduced, but come up with an idea, and we'll go over the guidelines for it. Come up with an idea for a project that you would like to do, and send it to me. We'll probably talk about it a little bit back and forth, and that can be your project. If you don't come up with anything at all, then probably what ends up being that semester's project will get assigned to you. So, which may not be bad either. But the point is, the earlier you start thinking about it, the more control you have over doing the project as far as what it is. And the reason for that is just that as we get further in the semester, there's less time to do more individualized things just from the administrative end of things. So we'll talk more about those later, though. I just wanted to say a word about it, because there's been some grief come to some of you who have lamented over the lack of description, which is understandable, but don't worry about it too much. The bottom line and lastly on the syllabus is, the grade. If you're not happy with a grade, like I said, let's talk about it. There's usually always something that we can do. Sometimes not, but that's the way grades work. But the point is, let's have that conversation, and of course have fun with the course. It's what it's about. Airplanes are fun. We're taking physics concepts and applying them to aviation. So have fun with that. Please try to have fun with it. So anyway, so that's the course syllabus. There's a quiz for this week. This is the primary component of this week. There will be a quiz at the end of the week that will be emailed instructions about, and that concludes Audiovisual Lecture 1.